Permanent versus temporary libraries. Once again, the ones on your, if you go to your SharePoint site, the ones that say shared documents, those are your temporary libraries. Anything that says school, those are your permanent libraries. And the difference between the two is a permanent library is a library that can hold files that we want you to place in there that require little to no changes on a yearly basis. Any files in that library will not be deleted at all. We won't touch those. Temporary libraries, we want you guys to hold files or place files that are relevant to the current school year. Any files in those libraries will be deleted before the start of the next school year. Not me necessarily, but yes, but by us. And yes, and of course there will be no email. No, I'm kidding. There will be email notifications to let you guys know X amount of day. You know, we'll give you fair warning, pretty much. There's nothing stopping you guys from making a backup of those files and store them in a server in your school. And anyway, I mean, you can do anything you want before we delete them.
Now, will the library be deleted or just the files?
Just the files. So like I said, feel free to make a copy of all those documents and throw them on any other servers that you guys have in your school, and in case you need to reference those files later on. All right, to give you some ideas of what files you can put in the school documents library are the templates or the source documents for, and here's some that I just named. I'm sure there's other ones that I didn't think of, but maybe the template file of the curriculum guide, staff handbook, student planners. And as you can see, most of these that I named here require little change. Most of them, if not all, you're just going to change the school year, and maybe that's pretty much about it. Maybe if it's the letterhead and the principal's name, but other than that, you don't really have to change anything. And then you can put either the template, the blank file version of that document, or the current one that you're using, let's say of now, and then that could be your source document. So when you make the new one for next school year, you can just start fresh from that one. And then some ideas for the temporary libraries is the current versions of, yet again, those documents that I wrote down. Any questions? Okay. And you're probably asking yourself why. We came up with two reasons. One, if you store the versions of those documents for the current year in your shared documents, if I'm a brand new teacher, I know exactly where to go to look for any of those documents that are relevant for that year. So that would eliminate any confusion. Because if you have, let's say, if you don't have it stored on SharePoint on your site, and this person over here is the one that's in charge of it, and there's, let's say, 3 people working on the curriculum guide, next thing you know, you have 3 different versions. Nobody knows which one is the most up to date, and if somebody's looking for that document, they could be lost, confused. So that's why we want you guys to place the current version in the shared libraries. And also storage. If we didn't delete those documents at the end of the school year or the beginning of the next school year, we'll pretty much fill the entire hard drive with a bunch of files. So that's to eliminate those 2. Alright, next I'm going to talk about subsites. And like earlier I spoke, the ones that are listed on the top, those are your subsites. I don't think you guys will have any of them created yet. So I can't really show you that, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. Wouldn't it be great to have a site with custom permissions? So for example, if I'm let's say the principal, and I want to have a subsite and only have the members of my admin team be able to view and get into that website, or that subsite, that's a great idea to create one because you can have custom permissions on there. So if I'm a regular teacher, you can click on it, but you're going to get an error message saying, oops, this has not been shared with you yet. And nobody will see it except for those people that you determine. Some benefits of a subsite, besides custom permissions, when you create one and use one of our templates that we built for you guys, and I'll show you which ones, you're going to get a separate calendar, and then also announcements, document libraries, discussion boards, custom lists, and blogs. So once again, like I said earlier, you can create a subsite for your athletic department. Once you do that, you'll have your own separate calendar, separate document library, so you can house files or information that only pertains to that group of people. So athletic department, 5th grade, English class, depending on how things are ran in your school. If you're in elementary, most likely you'll do grade-based subsites. Middle school, depending on how things are ran on the campus, either grades or curriculum. And high school, most likely is going to be curriculum. So you can create a subsite for all the elective classes and have any events on that calendar, any documentations, whether it's lesson plans, any other information that only pertains to that group of people in there. It's good to use the main calendar on your that's on the main page, but if you're going to have a lot of events, it might get obviously too busy, so you don't want to confuse people also. So it all just depends on who's going to be maintaining that data, and if you don't have that many events going on, then you can just use one calendar. You don't have to use a separate calendar. It's all up to you. We're just trying to give you guys examples or advice. All right, and now we're going to play. Alright, I'm going to be showing you a couple of things. Feel free to either just watch or better go along with me so you know how to do things. And what we're going to do is we're going to create subsites, delete subsites, rename subsites, pretty much how to manage them, and also anything else that I can come up with that I can't right now. So if you don't mind, and if you're not already there, please go to your main page of your collaboration. And I already created some, and as you can see, I don't have the little tool that allows me to zoom in, but can you guys see that says grades? Okay, I went ahead and created one subsite so I could show you what you guys could do with the drop down. Basically what I did is I created this first grade subsite inside of the grade subsite. I'm going to show you how to do one, and just know that when you create that top level subsite, all of the subsites you create underneath are not going to show up like this automatically. So I want to show you a simple step that you have to do once on that top level site, because there's no way for us to tell SharePoint always do this when that subsite doesn't exist, unfortunately. So to create a subsite is very, very simple. There's two ways of doing it, but I'm just going to show you the easiest way. From the main page, and feel free to follow along, click on Site Contents on the left. And if you scroll all the way down on the page, there's a section for subsites. If there's any of them, any subsites already created, they'll be listed here like it shows here grades. If not, you'll probably get some text that'll say there's no subsites created. Click here to create one or something like that. So go ahead and click on the new subsite button. And name this one, we're going to go ahead and delete it, so don't name it something that you want to keep, at least for now. I'm just going to name this one Test. Description, you can add something if you like, or you can leave it blank. For the URL name, please keep this short. So for example, if you're doing a subsite for first grade, don't name it first grade, maybe do the number 1 and the letter G, try to abbreviate it. Reason for doing so is you don't want to keep this URL really long, because right now it's going to automatically add schoolcollaboration.ocps.net/school/your 3-letter code / the name of the subsite, and then if you have any documents inside, it's just going to keep adding / the folder name / the document name, so it could get pretty long. Another word of advice for the title: try not to use any abbreviations that you might think people won't know, if that makes any sense. So like if you're doing one for SAC, everybody knows what SAC stands for, but if it's something that you're not sure, just spell it out. There's no limit to how many characters you can use for the title. So for the URL name, I'm just going to do test because it's pretty short. Now the next section says template selection, and there's 4 tabs. You can use any of them that you see here. For example, if you're going to make a blog subsite, there's one built-in. But if you're going to do any of the subsites for grades or curriculum or subject-based, if you click on the custom, you're going to see either 2 or 3. If you use any of the, don't use the one that says school template, because that one is the one that we use to make your site. But depending if you're doing a grade template or a grade subsite or a subject subsite, select one of those templates. The only difference between the two is the name of the libraries on the left-hand side. Right now you'll see that it's called school calendar, school documents. Instead of the word school, it'll say either grade or subject. Yeah, try to only use these templates that we have here for custom, because that already sets everything for you. The calendar, all those announcements, lists, pretty much that template, it's already done for you guys. So I'm just going to select grade template. And if you scroll down, the next section is permissions. Adani's going to touch on permissions later on, which is very tricky, or could be very tricky. So for now, for default, the first option is checked. That says use same permissions as parent site. The parent site is your main site. So right now, it basically copies all the permissions that are set right now as your parent site. And any changes you make on the parent site will trickle down to all the subsites that have this option checked. It's good to always copy the same permissions to begin with, and then later on edit the permissions. Okay? But he'll touch more on that later. And the last one is navigation inheritance. Wants to know if you want to use the same top link bar from the parent site. And it shows you a little picture here of the website, and in a dark gray bar. I don't think it... Okay, yeah, shows it up here. So basically, if you want this to show on the other subsites, I usually just say yes, because if you do no and you create that test subsite, these links are not going to be showing up there. You're just going to see one that says test. Basically, it makes it, well, to me, it makes it difficult for the user to go back to your home page. So if you just show all the links as the parent site, it makes it easier for that person to go back to any other subsites, and that they don't get lost. And not sure why, but it's always set as no, so go ahead and click yes. And then hit the create button. And this might take maybe a minute. You guys doing okay so far? Okay. And do you remember earlier when Adani said, I'm trying to figure out where he had said it, but it was something about a job that runs every minute to 5 minutes. Same rule applies to this. Right now, as you can see, there's not a test link up here. That job, same thing, or either run every minute or every 5 minutes. So if it doesn't show up, just hit F5 on your keyboard. And what that does is refreshes the page, and then it will show up. Do you guys see it now? Okay. So that's step 1, how to create a subsite. Very easy, right? And once again, Everything we're showing you guys, we have videos on. So if you happen to forget a step or you're not sure, reference those videos. Next, I'm going to show you how to create a subsite inside of this test subsite. Two ways of knowing if you're inside of a subsite is, one, you'll see that whatever subsite you're in, subsite you're in will be colored blue, and also you'll see the name of that subsite really big, so you can't really miss it. In case you're in a different subsite, to create a subsite inside of a subsite, you have to be in that top level subsite. So I'm going to click on test, and from in here, once again, I'm going to go to site contents, scroll all the way down, select new subsite, okay, I'm just going to call this one test 2. On the URL name, I'm just going to put the letter T and the number 2. Make sure you go to the custom tab for the templates and select either subject or grade. Permissions, you want to leave it as the same as the parent site. And the top link bar, we want to say yes. Then hit create when you're done. And once again, this will probably take up to a minute. You guys have a faster machine than I do. Okay. So now you see you're on test 2, and there's no drop down for test. Even if you refresh the page, it's not going to do anything. So this is the option that I mentioned earlier that you have to check. First, you want to go to that top level subsite. So in my case, is the one that's called test. So go ahead and click on that. Next, you want to go to the gear icon, and you want to go all the way down to site settings. When the site settings page loads, under look and feel, you want to click on navigation. Okay, and once that page loads, the only checkbox you have to check is the one that says show subsites. And then hit OK. And now you'll see that there's a drop down now for test. If you create another subsite, let's say call it test 3, that will automatically show up on the drop down. So once again, you only have to do it on that top level subsite. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, there was no way to tell SharePoint to always have this box checked when you create a new subsite. Fortunately. All right. Yes. All right. Next, I'm going to show you how to rename a subsite in case you misspelled something. You want to go to that subsite that you want to change or edit. So I'm going to do test 2. Once again, click on the gear icon. Select site settings. And you want to click on title, description, and logo under the look and feel category. And on here, you can click on the title field, and you can change it to, change the name of it. And also you can change the URL name, but that doesn't really matter because nobody really looks at that URL except for the person who created it. And also it's good to just leave it alone in case anybody has a link to a specific document or something within that subsite. If you change that name, it's going to break. So in order to avoid all that, just leave the URL name alone. And if you hit OK, you'll be taken back to the site settings page. And if you go to test or any other subsite, you'll see that now it's renamed to test. I just added a 0 in front of the 2. questions? All right, next I'm going to show you how to delete a subsite in case you happen to create one too many. Later on you find out you don't need them, you need all of them. Once again, you want to go to that subsite that you want to delete. As an example, I'm just going to pick a different one here. This one is just called third grade. Once again, you want to click on the gear icon. So go ahead and select one that you want to delete for now. Select site settings. Make sure you go to site settings, not site contents. You can still go to the gear icon, it's still up there. Okay, and in the site actions category, the last option is delete this site. So click on that. And on here, I'm going to zoom in because I want you guys to see something really quick. You'll see several things. If you were the person that created this site and you named the title and you gave it a URL name, you'll notice that it's going to be listed on here. So you should be able to recognize it. And it'll let you know that deleting this website will send all the content and user information to the recycle bin. So it's always important to look at the address so you make sure that you're deleting the correct one. So then, no, but you cannot delete a subsite that has subsites inside of it. And then click the delete button, and you're gonna get another question asking you, are you sure? Okay, once the site has been deleted, you're gonna get the deleted web, and if you go back to site, it'll take you back to your home page, and you might still see it on the drop down. Once again, that job runs anywhere from a minute to 5 minutes. If anybody clicks on it, you're gonna get this message that says web page cannot be found. So just come on, go back. It'll eventually go away. If you wanted to make it disappear now, I could show you that, but that's not really important right now. Let me see what else. Yeah, let me show you what happens if you try to delete the top level site and has subsites inside of it. You'll get this message saying, sorry, something went wrong. There was a problem deleting blah 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 that has subsite or certain apps can't be deleted. So you'll just get that error message, and then hopefully then you'll remember that, hey, I can't delete it because I have a subsite inside of it. Okay. An easy way to edit the links up here, or even on the left navigation, you'll see that there's an edit links button. If you click on that, you'll see that you have several options. You can either drag and drop links here. If you want to hide a link, there's this little icon, something new that Microsoft is using. So if you don't want text to show, you can just click on it, and if you see how it kind of changes the look of the text, it'll just be hidden. It won't be deleted, but and then obviously if you want it, I don't think you have the option to move those around. Oh, I guess you do. Interesting. Okay. And then after you make any changes, you'll see that you have a little button here for links. So if you want to add one that's not listed on there, you can. And then of course just hit save or cancel if you're done, making the changes. Same thing goes for the left navigation. You have the edit links here. So for example, if I know Adani showed you this earlier, of how to rearrange, for example, the copy request. You could do it from within here as well. You can click on the edit links, and then of course click on the X. If you do it this way, of course, if you delete the heading, it's going to delete all the links underneath that heading. So always try to move it before you delete the request or the said heading. You can also create headings. You can do that by clicking on the link. If it's a heading, obviously it's not going to have an address, so you can only type the name of that heading. So if I want to do one for request, and it's going to show all the requests underneath it, just call it request, hit OK, and now you see that's added at the bottom. You see how these are indented and these are not? That means that all these are under the school home. So you can do the same thing for request. If you move it down, you see that I could drop it underneath request, or if I move it to the right, you see how it's a little indented now? If you hit save, now copy request falls under request. And you see how it doesn't change the cursor to that little hand? That's because there's no address, so it's not a link. Any questions? Alright, Donnie showed you how to do the calendar already. Let me see how long I have. We still got some time. Let's see. Yeah, so if you guys know for sure how you guys do things at your school, whether it's grades or curriculum, feel free to take the next couple of minutes and create some subsites. And if you want to make one called curriculum and then create all the curriculums underneath it, you can. Or if you just want to create some to just delete some, feel free to just take the next couple of minutes and play around.